right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen that are watching this live face-off ahead of Team Alice Boxing's Pretender to Contender event at the Melbourne Pavilion on August 19th. I am here with both of our main event fighters, Daniel Holmes and Harrison Boon. Boys, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, Daniel, you've fought before, so I want to start with you. You're 1-0. You went to the Pavilion last time. You're in the main event. You got the win over Brent Leon. Tell us a bit about what you took away from that experience.
Oh, a lot. It's a very intense moment. It's a very intense night. There's not much more you can say about it other than it's very intense, but very high risk, but very high reward if you pull it off.
Do you think it gives you an advantage heading into this fight, having been there before?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I know the process of everything, but no in the sense that I understand how intense it is. It's something that Harrison's coach actually used to say to me all the time. He says, your first time is probably the best because you don't really know what you're in for.
Harrison's coach? How do you know Harrison's trainer?
Well, he was my trainer for Brent. So
really?
Harrison went and ran to him and tried to get all the freaking intel.
There you go, Harrison. Is there any truth to that? And have you been getting some inside information?
As usual, Dan's made a misleading comment there. I actually started off training at a different gym, and the promoter Anthony was the one that told me to go through Bondi Boxing Club with Steve Roden because they have a relationship. There was an internal agreement made before I even signed on to this. So, it was just a simple matter of following the path that was laid out by the guys that have done this before. And it was just happenstance that I ended up training with Steve. Now, does that give me some inside information into Daniel and his lead up to Brent's fight? Sure, but I mean, geez, I could have taken Steve out for a coffee and got that information anyway. It's not like it's a huge industry secret. So, it is. It's just the way that it worked out. It wasn't with anything. And the thing is too, like as Daniel just said, he's already had a fight, but he could be a completely different fighter this time around. He's training with a different coach. You know, it's a different set of circumstances at a completely different weight. So, really, we're both going into the ring into the unknown. Daniel's not fought at this weight before. He's not fought a guy my size before. So, I think it's unfair to say that I've got any sort of advantage or he's got any sort of advantage because of who our trainers are.
Well, it is an interesting thing you mentioned weight there because Harrison, you've come down in weight, and Daniel, you're putting weight on. I'll start with you, Harrison. How has that weight cut affected you? Has that made you feel lighter, made you feel a bit better in the ring, or is it sort of draining a little bit of energy from you?
No, the thing is, I was probably like heavier than I needed to be at the start of this. So the 90 kilo mark is actually pretty good for me. I think the lightest I've ever been was about 87 kilos. That's when I was about to do a competition. So I'd stripped right down for that. I was sitting at like underneath 10% body fat. I was probably about 6%. Had like abs on abs on abs. So it's not the weight. It's not the weight that's concerning at all going to the fight. It's just the experience. Like even though I've been doing a lot of sparring, it's not something I've done before. So first fight, I think that's where Daniel has a little bit of an advantage, is that he's been in the ring before. He's also done the 8 or 10 weeks, whatever I've done in training in the lead up to this. Daniel's done twice that, you know what I mean? So he's probably got a little bit of an experience advantage, but I think the fact that I naturally sit a little bit heavier, I'm like a heavier guy, I'm 6 foot, usually around that 90 to 100 kilo bracket. So for me to come down to 90 it's not a big weight loss for me. It's just simply about losing a bit of that puppy fat and just hardening everything up and not carrying excess weight where I don't need it. Like I don't need a big chest and big shoulders going to a boxing fight. I want to be light.
You realize 90, bro, you realize 90 is the absolute max limit. What do you weigh right now?
92.5 kilos.
So when we step on the scales on August 18th, you'll be 89.9.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to be 90 or less. That's right.
Good boy. Are you natty?
Yeah, full natty. All natty.
Are you though?
Are you natty? Are you natty?
100%. If I bring a drug test on the weigh-in day, you'll pass it?
Yeah, you've pumped gear more than me, so I think the ball's really in your court with that.
2 years ago. All right.
Well, there you go, boys. Daniel, putting on weight for you. How are you finding that? Is that giving you any? Are you feeling any new advantages from the weight gain throughout this camp?
To be honest, I'm not even concerned with weight. There's a part of my mind which is like, man, I should really put on weight. Let me eat more and do this and that. But the cardio and the weight, like the cardio and then the food, it just evens it out. It's really difficult for me to put on weight. So I'm just going to be my natural weight, which will probably be 86, to be honest. And yeah, who gives a shit?
A lot of confidence there. I think there's a big advantage for someone who's had that experience and been in the ring before. But on the other side of that, there is the unknown of a debut fighter as well, and not being able to go back and look at them and how they perform in the ring. So is there anything of Harrison's training that you've seen?
Not really. Like, I think at our level, which is shit, that you can't really look into a fighter too much and try and game plan around them. We're not good enough for that. You have to be pretty high level to be able to execute a game plan when it comes crunch time. So all I can do is as much as I can in the gym, and then just rock up to the game day as prepared as possible.
So it's is it fair to say that you're saying the best you can do is to be as fit and ready and stick as possible, and to stick to the basics?
Pretty much. And same like Harrison said before, yeah, he's with my old coach, but they're looking at old footage of a shit version of me, shitter version of me. Like, there's not much they can really game plan off that either. So we're both kind of going into it pretty blind, I believe.
Harrison, you have at least seen Daniel fight before. Is there anything you saw in that fight that made you think, I'm putting my hand up, I want to get in the ring, I can beat this guy?
Yeah. And if it puts your mind at ease at all, Daniel, Steve's never actually given me watched any footage of you or anything like that in the lead up to the fight. It was more, I think in our lead up, it's just been more about focusing on the things that I need to do right and minimizing mistakes or things that I need to improve on. I think Daniel hit the nail on the head with the fact that we're not at an elite level. We're both amateur boxers, so yeah, I think you can workshop all of the game plans in the world, but you know, once those punches start coming, it's really about the least amount of mistakes you can make and the most amount of things you can do right. Saying that, watching the highlights of the Brent fight, yeah, I mean, look, Brent was obviously trying to do the right thing and get on Daniel's inside and fight, because he's a shorter fighter. He had shorter arms, so it was his advantage to try and get on the inside. And every time he did that, Daniel would tie him up. So, you know, I think Daniel's game plan was to do less fighting and to sort of tire Brent out by tying him up, which, you know, I've got to give it to the guy. It worked. It doesn't necessarily make for an interesting fight, though. I would have liked to see the two guys really sort of exchange punches and go at it. No, I think it was a bit of a disadvantage for Brent that he had much shorter arms. It just you know, it was easy for Daniel to sort of keep him at bay with the jab and the odd cross here and there. But aside from that, it wasn't like a nail biting fight. It was sort of, you know, it was watching two amateur guys sort of do the best that they could under the circumstances, which, you know, it's easy for me to sit here and take the piss, but you know, I've got to at least hand to the guys that they had the balls to get into the ring. You know, I've got to respect that. As far as what happened in the ring, yeah, it wasn't much of a fight. You know, I think this time around things are going to be much different, and we'll see how Daniel performs under pressure.
Is there a reason you wanted to fight Daniel in particular?
To be honest with you, I actually didn't want to fight Daniel. I would have taken Brent over Daniel at the start of this thing, because I actually had a legitimate reason to want to punch Brent in the head. But you know, like the thing is, when you get offered an opportunity, you don't always get to pick who's on the other end of it. So I wanted to do something that was a challenge, and I also wanted at the same time to do something for charity. So those things aligned, and it just so happens that it's against Daniel. But hopefully at the end of all this, we can shake hands and be friends. If not, I get that as well. But it is what it is.
You made a mistake. You made a mistake. You should have gone for Brent. I get that you want to challenge yourself and you want to try to rebuild your image with the charity side of it. You made a mistake, but it'll be a good learning experience for you.
Okay.
Daniel, is there a reason you wanted to fight Harrison?
Look, after the Brent fight, I was back to lifting weights. I didn't really see a potential opponent in the horizon that would give me the motivation to want to train again. When the Harrison call came through, it G'd me up. Again, it's a challenge for me, and yeah, I was a bit offended. Like the fact we did have somewhat of a relationship, and then he wanted to fight me. So anyone that wants to fight me, it's going to make you a little bit offended, and yeah.
Is that what you think gave you the motivation to get back into the gym and start hitting the mitts again? That it was Harrison in particular?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder. Even Harrison's comments about my last fight, it's very easy to look from the outside and go, oh, they did this and that. You have no idea. When you're in there, it's a different game. And I'm fucking awkward as fuck to spar with or fight with. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan throughout this period of Harrison. But like you said, after I beat him up, we can go for a drink.
And how do you see the fight going down on August 19th, Daniel?
I see just overall, I'll start to take over probably by the second, maybe get a ref stop on the second or third, but regardless, I'll eventually take over the fight and yeah, it'll end.
And do you have anything to say about that, Harrison? What do you think? How do you think it's going to go down?
We're going to knock him out.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that'll be good.
All right.
How are you going to win, Harrison? And we get a knockout.
I don't know. Depends. You going to drop your hands?
Yeah, bro. Please just hit me. You don't know. You don't know because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to fuck you up.
All right, boys. I think we're gonna.
I won't answer the question. How would you answer the question? How are you gonna win, bro? How are you gonna win?
I'm not gonna give away what my intentions are. But yeah, I mean, look, you've got an experience advantage, and I've got a size advantage. So it's just about whether or not you can take the heat for 2 or 3 rounds, bro. Because it's one thing to throw punches. It's another thing to cop them, especially from a bigger guy. So we'll see. Yeah, like look, let's just let's save the game plan for the ring because everyone's got a game plan till they get hit in the mouth.
There's no game plan. There's no game plan, dummy. We're both shit. You just go in there and do your best.
That's what I'm saying. So we agree on that. So I'll see you on August 19th.
But what did you say after that? Everyone's got a game plan till they get punched in the face. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me. If I ever hear that again, it's the most generic shit ever. Brent wouldn't stop saying that. Anyway. Yeah, August 19th, let's fucking watch Harry get beat up and I'll buy him a drink after. Whatever.
All right, boys. I appreciate both of your time. We're really looking forward to it as well as the rest of the country. Looking forward to seeing you boys get in there for the main event at the Melbourne Pavilion on August 19th. Harrison Boon, Daniel Holmes, thank you so much. We'll see you boys soon.